Demanding answers tonight, the community leaders questioning the police investigation into a mass shooting in University City.
What could be a better companion than his service dog, the war dog that accompanies him in battle?
The story of wounded warriors and the surprising reaction from the Midwest man behind this art series.
And it's about providing opportunities for students that wouldn't even imagine that these are career opportunities.
Giving San Diego kids access to a state-of-the-art education. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. As San Diego police continue to investigate last weekend's mass shooting in University City, some civil rights activists question whether race was a factor. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy has the story.
2 days after a white man gunned down 7 people at an apartment complex pool, some community members are demanding more answers. 5 of the victims were black, including one woman who was killed. She was Monique Clark, a 35-year-old mother of 3. The other 2 victims were Hispanic and white.
There is zero information to indicate that race played a factor in this terrible and horrific crime.
Less than 24 hours after the shooting, San Diego Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman said race was not a factor. She said gunman Peter Sellis was despondent over a breakup and that he had recently filed for bankruptcy. Civil rights leaders and activists say Zimmerman rushed to judgment. Pastor Jared Moten with the National Action Network believes there's more to the story.
It is very curious to me and to many others in a community in which this transpired that the gentleman had to be selective. There's some premeditation that went along with his acts in sitting down and then calculating who's there.
Activists with Alliance San Diego are also speaking out about their concerns. In a statement, they wrote, "Communities of color need to know that law enforcement agencies are here to serve and protect all people. We call on Chief Zimmerman to conduct a thorough and complete investigation into the incident, including the possibility that the killer acted with racial animus." Some witnesses of Sunday's event shared mixed feelings over whether the gunman targeted the group of African Americans who were celebrating a birthday. Lizette Aguanaga was in the pool when the rampage started.
But he did shoot at a white female, but that's because she was trying to come in and help the wounded. So I don't know if this is racial or not, but it's awfully coincidental.
Police released a statement Monday night that reads, "There are several witnesses who homicide detectives are in the process of contacting in order to be interviewed. This is an ongoing investigation that is fluid, with information previously released subject to change." Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Several prayer services are planned for tomorrow night, and we'll continue to follow developments on the shooting investigation on air and online at kpbs.org. Migrant rights activist Hugo Castro is speaking out about what happened while he was missing in Mexico. He's currently in San Diego recovering from injuries. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero has details.
Castro says he doesn't remember much about what happened during the 5 days he was missing, but he told me he does recall being beaten up by 2 groups of strangers. He says it happened sometime after pleading for help on Facebook Live from the side of a highway outside of Mexico City. Castro suffered multiple head wounds, bruising all over his body, and a foot injury. He says he doesn't know why he was beaten, but thinks it was because of his work to protect migrants.
Me sentía muy como una realidad muy alterna, así muy. Decía, al menos yo no permitiría que si le hicieran esto a alguien más.
Despite his physical state, Castro has resumed advocating for people who face the threat of deportation. He's expressing solidarity with migrant workers through Facebook from his recovery bed. He also wrote an open letter to President Trump, calling him a bully and urging him to educate himself on the positive impact of immigrants through U.S. history. Mexico's Attorney General, the U.S. Embassy, and doctors have declined to comment on Castro's case without his family's permission. Meanwhile, the family has also declined to release details beyond Castro's own account. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
A Sinaloa cartel leader suspected of helping El Chapo Guzman escape from prison has been captured. His name is Damaso Lopez. Mexican authorities arrested him today during a morning raid. They dubbed him El Chapo's right-hand man. U.S. leaders say he's a top member in the Sinaloa cartel and labeled Lopez as a major international drug trafficker in 2013. The House is considering a possible vote this week on a health care overhaul. It would repeal and replace what's commonly called Obamacare. An earlier vote fizzled in March, but an amended version has won over some conservatives. There are provisions to let states opt out of some of the requirements. Earlier today, one member of the San Diego congressional delegation was keeping mum on his position on the latest GOP health care proposal. The Hill is reporting when Darrell Issa was asked by reporters if he supported it, he said it was none of their business. Later, he tweeted he's undecided and is reviewing the changes. Television personality Jimmy Kimmel gets serious. He's calling for politics to be removed from healthcare reform. Last night, he made the plea while fighting back tears. He announced the birth of his son to the ABC audience. Kimmel revealed his son was born with a heart defect requiring surgery. He says U.S. lawmakers should ensure Americans have access to health care despite pre-existing conditions.
If your baby is going to die, and it doesn't have to, it shouldn't matter how much money you make. I think that's something that, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or something else, we all agree on that, right? I mean, we do. I saw a lot of families there, and no parent should ever have to decide if they can afford to save their child's life. It just shouldn't happen. Not here.
Kimmel also shared a picture of his son immediately following the surgery, and a few days later, a smiling picture with his son ready to head home. Kimmel says he'll need another heart surgery in a few weeks. There's a move afoot to block San Diego County District Attorney Bonnie DeManis's preferred successor from getting a leg up in next year's DA race. KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma explains.
Community groups are pushing the San Diego County Board of Supervisors to take an apolitical role when they select an interim replacement for DeManis in June. So far, 2 people have announced interest in the interim DA job when DeManis resigns in July. One is former prosecutor Adam Gordon. He says he doesn't want the job permanently and has pledged not to run in next year's DA race. That promise, he says, will help ensure all candidates are on equal footing.
There hasn't been a non-incumbent district attorney's race in 48 years. The voters should have that opportunity to talk about what the issues are and should have that opportunity without the title of incumbent or interim hanging over the entire process.
Chief Deputy District Attorney Summer Steppen wants the interim post as well. She's also already announced her candidacy for DA and has the backing of fellow prosecutors and her boss, Bonnie DeManis. The American Civil Liberties Union and the Earl P. Gilliam Bar Association are urging supervisors not to pick Steppen for the interim position, arguing it would unfairly make her a favorite in next year's election. Anyone else seeking candidacy for the interim position has until the end of the month to apply. Supervisors could make their decision as early as June 20th. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
Lots of industries and businesses are asking themselves, how can we be more appealing to millennials? AP reporter Haven Daly says casinos think they might be able to reach a younger generation by swapping out games of chance for games of skill.
When you think of a slot machine player, you may picture a retiree sitting for hours waiting for that jackpot.
I've never had interest in slot machines. I grew up with video games. I grew up playing Super Nintendo. And the thought of just sitting there and hitting one button is just like, it's always been boring to me.
That's why companies like Gamblit Gaming have created a new wave of video game gambling machines. Unlike traditional games of chance, these payout video games are based on skill.
The benefit of a slot machine is that you're really good at it the first time you play it, and the problem with it is that you never get better. So that is why some people are saying you need to add these skill elements to games.
Gamblit just debuted tabletop video games inside Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas, including a pirate-themed game where players' reflexes are put to the test by having to quickly swipe the right cards to get the best hand. Players compete against each other, with a casino getting a portion of the pot.
For the younger folks who grew up in a life with iPads and tablets and cell phones, and they're not stimulated by just watching cherries and then sevens go by. They need more than that.
Another company, Vegas-based GameCo, also recently introduced skill-based games to casinos. Their versions, which feature jewel matching, basketball, and first-person shooters, should look familiar to video game players.
Generally in our games, you're making a bet anywhere from $2 to $20 per game, and you generally have around 45 to 60 seconds to get the highest score possible in that play session, and you're getting a payout based on your skill.
Video game gambling machines are also on the floors of casinos in Atlantic City, with more locations rolling out later this year. Casinos hope they not only appeal to millennials, but to old-school arcade fans who fed countless quarters into video games, looking to get some of that money back. Haven Daily, Associated Press, Las Vegas.
A key change to California's climate change program may end up with money back in your pocket. Democratic state senators have announced a proposal to extend the cap-and-trade system beyond 2020. The measure aims to blunt the impact of higher gas and energy prices. One way to do that is by refunding as much as 90% of the revenue to consumers. The rest of the money raised would cover infrastructure and research on climate and clean energy. Legislators won 2/3 vote on the bill. Some San Diego students who attend low-performing schools will get a $15 million boost in their science education. KPBS Speak City Heights reporter Taryn Minto tells us about the state-of-the-art facility coming to the City Heights neighborhood.
So if you look at it from the street level, it almost looks like a house, and that's where the scientists and residents is situated.
Carla Pisby Camacho gestures beyond a chain-link fence and toward the far corner of a construction site. The cube she points to is still without a roof, but will become the home of a live-in researcher. The studio apartment is just a piece of the $15 million Science Learning Center coming to a City Heights canyon.
We really wanted it to feel like an active field station so that our students can see scientists and not think of them as these white coat, type people, but really put a face to them.
Pisby Camacho is with the Ocean Discovery Institute, the nonprofit behind the Living Lab, a high-tech, environmentally friendly campus focused on educating City Heights kids about conservation and marine science. She says by the time it's finished in the fall, the community students and their teachers will have access to state-of-the-art laboratories to explore how runoff through the area's canyons affects the Pacific Ocean. And after hours, it'll be open to families and their kids.
Whether it's a canyon restoration program, or maybe the scientists and residents is hosting like a dissection of animals or a new program. So all of those, it's almost like a menu board of all of those things that are happening. They sign in, they select the program that they're most interested in, and then they have access to the entire building.
The Institute has been in the community for years, educating kids in the low-income neighborhood through community events, in-depth fellowships, and in-classroom lessons. But the Institute says the new facility will expand its reach from 6,000 kids per year to all 10,000 City Heights students. The Institute's goal is to develop kids from the community that's home to many immigrants into future leaders in science and conservation.
And it's about providing opportunities for students that wouldn't even imagine that these are career opportunities.
One of the program's past participants is Antonio Figueroa.
My family does not have any science background. I'm the first one to go to college and graduate.
Raised by his grandmother, Figueroa earned his degree from UCLA, and he's now a sales manager with a camera company that's developing a monitoring system for small fishing vessels. He credits Ocean Discovery Institute with his success.
They opened a door for me to be able to learn and expand my possibilities. Going to UCLA, they helped me with college applications, college trips. I did not have the fantastic 4.0 GPA at UCLA, but they were there always supporting,
According to the Ocean Discovery Institute's own data analysis, the students in its most in-depth curriculum academically outperformed their counterparts at the neighborhood's Hoover High School. The nonprofit reports 92% of its 75 alumni are currently enrolled in college or have completed their bachelor's degrees. In comparison, 45% of recent Hoover grads were considered college ready. The Ocean Discovery Institute's model is considered so successful, its founder, Sheriff Fissler, was recognized by the Obama administration, nominated for a CNN Heroes Award, and named a KPBS local hero. Now, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is working with a nonprofit to replicate its program on the other side of the country in the Chesapeake Bay area. San Diego Unified Superintendent Cindy Martin says the mission of the upcoming Living Lab aligns with the district's priorities.
Two main goals is to close the achievement gap and offer a broad and challenging curriculum. This does that.
The district helped fund construction of the Living Lab through taxpayer-approved bonds and will assist with maintenance costs. But the curriculum will be managed by Ocean Discovery Institute, or ODI. School Board President Richard Barrera says the partnership is a first for the district and presents a unique opportunity for City Heights.
Again, in other communities, you might have parents paying thousands of dollars, to get kids access to the kind of, quality programming that goes on here at ODI. So to be able to, offer that to, for free, through the public education system, I think is tremendous opportunity.
There are still a few more months before the Living Lab will open its doors, but Pisby Camacho says the Institute is already excited about the opportunities its new facility will offer.
This building sets the highest expectation for our students, for them to know that I'm from City Heights, but I will become a scientist. I will become a leader in science and conservation, and that will go on and discover a life-saving drug in a biotech company or things like that. So I think it's really changing how students think about themselves and how other people also think about these students as well.
Pisby Camacho, the daughter of Filipino and Mexican immigrants who met in City Heights, is also an Ocean Discovery alum. Taryn Mento, KPBS News.
More sun and possibly a little rain for San Diego this week. Erin Calandra has the forecast.
Well, it was a beautiful day today, and that's what we will see tonight as well. We don't see much on the radar down in the south part of the state. We do see just a few clouds passing through the Fresno area, and that's how it will look tonight. It's going to be a nice, clear evening, although we will see some late night fog, and that will carry on into the morning hours. So when you wake up, some low clouds, a bit foggy out there. But the overnight low is 60 degrees, and that's how it looks across the region. Borrego Springs, 67 degrees, Mount Laguna, 51, Ramona, 48 degrees, Poway, 53, and Oceanside, 54 degrees. Alpine, 51 as well, with just a few clouds closer to the coast. We do have a high-pressure system building over the Pacific, and this is going to move in by midweek, bringing in some warm temperatures. But we are going to see a drop in our temperatures by the weekend and even some wet weather. Taking a look at our forecast for the coast, on Thursday, fog and then sunshine, 77 degrees. By Friday, some clouds move in and temperatures drop to 72 degrees. And on Saturday, we could see a shower, 70 degrees for the high temperature. But by Sunday, well, that's where we will see more showers, potential for even a thunderstorm rolling through with a high of only 66 degrees. So inland, it's always a bit warmer, but not this week. We are going to see a cool down. On Thursday, 87 degrees. By Friday, down to 81 degrees with clouds. And look at your Saturday. By Saturday, we're in the 70s, 73 for the high. And by Sunday, we're in the 60s, 67 degrees with a thunderstorm moving through the region. In the mountains, it's going to be cool, 75 degrees on Thursday. Friday, clouds move in, 72. By Saturday, we're in the 50s with 59 degrees for our high, and on Sunday much cooler, 45 degrees for the high. And look at this low, nearly freezing, 35 degrees for our low on Sunday with a thunderstorm moving through. In the deserts, a nice break because the high temperature on Thursday is 103 degrees, a balmy day on Thursday. Friday, it gets a bit cooler, 101 with some clouds moving in. And look at your weekend, a beautiful weekend for you. Saturday, cooler, 88 degrees for the high temperature, and on Sunday it will remain dry and temperatures a high of 73 degrees. For KPBS News, I'm Erin Calandra.
Coming up tonight on PBS NewsHour, in the hot seat for overbooking flights. It all goes back to that viral video of a passenger being physically forced off a United Airlines flight. The CEO says the incident was a turning point for the company.
It will accelerate, at least from United's perspective, and as you heard from others, this will make us better. Once you sit on our aircraft and you are on a seat, other than for safety or security reasons, we will not take you off that flight.
Plus, why millions are on the brink of starvation in South Sudan. That's tonight on PBS NewsHour, starting at 7, right here on KPBS. A canine collection raises awareness about wounded veterans. Each dog represents a different military campaign. As WOSU producer Jackie Schaefer shows us, the art also shows a special connection between dogs and their human partners.
I've always been working with dogs since 1985, and I've always told stories with dogs, allegory. With the increased triage and medical technology, and the better medical technology, there are more soldiers surviving with worse wounds and injuries. And so visually, as an artist, I tend to react to things visually. So I decided to do this, to tell the story of the wounded veteran through man's best friend, his companion. And what could be a better companion than his service dog, the war dog that accompanies him in battle. For the Afghanistan wounded warrior, it was a double amputee that had lost both legs due to an explosion under the Humvee. With the Iraqi a soldier who's missing a leg and the dog's missing an ear, has a metal plate in the head, is blind in one eye from a side explosion of an IED. So these were, a lot of times, these are typical wounds that the soldiers are returning with from these particular campaigns. The seventh dog is actually, it's not really a dog, but it's a flag-draped coffin that was inspired by a video I saw of the caskets coming off of a Delta flight. And a flag-draped human casket came off the flight, followed by a small box, which was his dog. The primary installation was 7 dogs, including the flag-draped casket. So I'm working on one which they were all physical injuries, so I'm getting the one which is a psychological injury done, the PTS dog, done in time for the exhibition. So that will be the 8th dog. Wounded Warrior 6 it represents a World War II veteran, a World War II veteran that has passed on, and that just has a single dove on the back. It's called Blessing and Mercy. Whereas this one is going to have a white dove and a black dove sitting on the back, just sort of facing each other off, which will be symbolic of conflicting spirits. Not only is this going to be describing PTSD, but there's also an amputation here involved with this. And I don't think I'm going to put a service ribbon on the collar like I have the other dogs. Each have a service ribbon representing the conflict that they were in. This is more about the soldier who's come home. Boy, what I was not aware of was the emotional impact that this display would have. Many veterans want to see this in a national location where they can see it again. So I'm hoping to get it acquired by a national gallery. So we're going to work on that.
Well, Jim's been a member of Ohio Designer Craftsmen for over 40 years. So we've known him for forever. We really wanted to have more of an interactive reception, and one of the dogs that you'll see in the exhibition is Alex. He was commissioned by the Delaware County Sheriff's Office, Jim was, to make a likeness of their dog, Alex. When we were looking at the Wounded Warrior dogs, we knew we needed more to the exhibition, and Jim's been doing sculpture since 1970s. And he's done a lot of dogs, other dogs that are a little more humorous than what you'll see with the Wounded Warrior dogs. And we really thought just to bring it all together would be great to have other dogs that are a little more fun, to bring a little more levity to the installation itself, and to show what other, how dogs provide different types of service to humans.
That report was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Finally, a really cool San Diego connection to this year's Tony Awards. Come From Away received 7 nominations this morning. It had its world premiere at the La Jolla Playhouse in 2015 and then moved to Broadway. Playhouse artistic director Christopher Ashley received his 3rd career Tony nomination for directing. The musical shows what happens when planes were diverted to Newfoundland on 9/11, leaving thousands stranded in the small town of Gander. Another Playhouse-born production, Indecent, received 3 Tony nominations. The Tony Awards will be held on June 11th. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.